Hello. So today I want to cover my 2023 trip to Germany, and my layover was through the Changi airport. Funny thing, my flight actually got delayed by 2 days because there was a strike in the Munich airport. So anyway, in the Changi airport, I'd heard that it's received like the best airport award for quite a few years. So we decided to check out the airport as well. There's a butterfly garden, a place where you can watch movies for free. And in general, there were also many places around the airport where you could kind of sleep on like this desk kind of thing. But I think they purposely made it a little uncomfortable so that people wouldn't end up sleeping on it for too long. My first impression on getting off at the Munich airport is just how big the spaces are compared to Japan. And on my way from Munich to Passau by train, I also noticed that the countryside is very green. Okay, so I'm finally in Germany. I'm changing trains so that I can get to Passau. I don't know why, but the open spaces and the greenery really filled me with excitement for the rest of my trip. And why Passau? Well, I was going there to meet Pooja. We had quite the itinerary planned, and on the very first day we went to Vienna. The train ride there was quite comfortable, and although I liked the Japanese system more, I would say the scenery from the train is better in the Bavarian region. So in Vienna, we first went to Hunterwasserhaus. The day actually coincided with my birthday. For my birthday, Pooja had planned this event that we went to in the evening, where we had this guy called Giacomo, and he gave us a session about the history in music, basically the different periods of Baroque music, classical music, and romantic music. It was interesting in the sense that at each stage he had sound samples prepared to illustrate his point, and he also showed how the thinking of that particular era not only impacted the music but also the architecture styles, and he showed a few pictures for that as well. And in general, I'd never actually learned all this before or read about it either, so it was quite eye opening for me, and since then, I've actually come to enjoy a lot of Baroquean and classical music. It was a session that made me realize that it's really lucky, to have someone who is proficient in their field sit down and explain stuff to you face to face, not through a video or anything, but through their presence and their body language. And it's a very different experience, and something that I miss when I'm learning something online. And after the session, I got to play football with a group of people over there, thanks to Pooja. And what was interesting is the vibe didn't really feel that different from when I play football with my friends in Baroda or Mumbai. Well, after my flight for 13 hours and after traveling through Vienna, I finally got to hit the bed and slept very soundly. We had breakfast where we were staying the next day, and what we had were like some croissants and milk with cereal. And I have to say that although I've had like bread and like croissants before, the taste is totally different in Vienna or Germany in general. It's just, I think the bread they make over there is a lot more fun to eat, and it feels a lot more easier to digest. Then we went to this amusement park called Prater. It's just been so long since I'd been to an amusement park. I think is when I was in college, I think I went to this park called the Magica in Pune, and I think this was my first time going to an amusement park after that. And there was this one ride that you're going to see, and boy, it was pretty scary. As a kid, used to love going on these rides, and even though if it was scary, the thrill was part of the fun. But this time, uh, I don't know, I really didn't enjoy myself that much. I mean, it was scary, the thrill was still there, but it wasn't as enjoyable. Was it just that I was becoming an adult? I don't know. The next ride that we sat on were like these swings which rotate as you're going up. And I think Pooja was pretty shook by the previous experience because she ended up crying while we were up there on this swing. And I mean, after that, we did go on a few other rides, but I think overall we both felt as if, we didn't enjoy it as much as we thought we would. For lunch, we went to the street, which was basically filled with like different kinds of food vendors. And well, I don't eat non-veg, but Pooja really wanted to try the signature dish from Vienna, which is the Wiener Schnitzel, and she did like it. Pooja is trying her first Wiener Schnitzel. How's it?
I don't know, like there's no pepper, there's no salt, there is no chili, it's just fried chicken or fried whatever. I don't know.
I ate some bread, cheese. I think the street was called Naschmarkt, and I also got to try some Turkish dishes, and I also ate olives, different kinds of olives for the first time. And I think overall the food was very fresh, and I really liked the food. After that, we went to the Natural History of Museum in Vienna. I think this was my favorite place to visit over here. Just something about, looking at all the artifacts and going about, and many of the things that I learned in science back in school, but to actually see these things here and to look at how some of this stuff started, it was very interesting. And some of it made me wish that, I went to school in this city so that every day after school I could go to this museum and read about stuff. After Vienna, we came back to Passau for a day or two. I mean, that's where she stayed. And then we just spent one day lazing around in Passau. She showed me this bridge in Passau. And I saw some ducks swimming like this. And I was this close to ducks for the first time. We went to a shop where Pooja said they sold the best ice cream in Passau. After that, we went to this place in Passau where you got two kind of rivers meeting, and each has a different color, and it's at this juncture that you can actually see the different colors. Okay, let's look at the color of the river on the right. You can see it has a greenish hue. And let's take a look at the color of the river on the left. And it looks much clearer. Then we went to this place to do some ice skating, where I did ice skating for the first time. I know, there were a lot of firsts in this trip. And I've done a lot of roller skating. Surprisingly, I found that a lot of the roller skating skills were transferable to ice skating. On the way back from the ice skating place, we decided to walk back home. And it was around like a 40-minute walk. And it started snowing. And I just seen snow this one other time in my life in Osaka. And that too, it wasn't like it was snowing. I just saw later that it had snowed. So this was my first time being stuck in the snow like this.
Snow.
It is snowing.
No, dude, no. Look.
What is it?
It's called wolf. You see? What luck, dude? तुम्हारा काफी तगड़ा लग है, पता है?
Oh my god. Okay, so this is snow. I don't know if you can tell that this is different from the floor. And it was quite exhilarating. And it got pretty cold, so we headed to this cafe to have some different kinds of bread. And it was again, the bread really blew my mind. coming back home, we just watched a movie, had some dal chawal, thanks to Pooja, and we just slept. The next day, Pooja said she would like to trim my beard, and it looked so bad that I had to end up shaving it all off. And then we went to the birthplace of Mozart, Salzburg, and it was really cold over here and snowing, much more than Passau. In our evening at Salzburg, we just walked to lots of different places and looked around. And then at night, we went to Mirabel Palace for a concert. And Mirabel Palace, I think, is the same place where Mozart also used to perform at one point. And this is my first time listening to like a classical concert. And one thing that really struck me as different was how different the acoustics are. You know, like, I mean, I grew up with the internet. So in some sense, a lot of the music that I heard was either on like my Sony Walkman or just through my computer playing YouTube and so on. And I had like a choir at school, and I'd sometimes, just performed over there and like, heard people sing and perform in real life. But the acoustics of this place was really different. It was a very different experience with everyone just sitting in pin drop silence, and like I think 5 or 6 people just playing the violin in between the center. And the acoustics, like the sound just felt so much different. And I think listening to music on earphones, I don't think it could ever compare it to that feeling. And I'm really grateful that I got to have that experience. I mean, I couldn't really understand a lot of the music or appreciate it, but it was still nice to just bask in that presence of the evening.
Like we were standing on the shore. You can cry when you grow old, but can we live this life untold? Breathing on my own, the time remains unknown.
The next day we went to Halstatt. We took a train there, and we went to the salt mines in Halstatt. And I think there's also a World Heritage Point over there. One thing that I felt just entering the city immediately was just how beautiful it looked. I mean, it looked as if someone had just plucked it out right from a fairy tale. And a part of me just hates, that it's been so long and my brain can no longer accurately recreate the sensation of just being there. But I don't think a picture can do justice to it. It was just so beautiful that you had to be there. We went to the salt mines and it was really cool.
We were going through the salt mines, the oldest salt mine.
Okay.
Again, I didn't really know a lot about the history of salt, but I think this was one of the first salt mines in the world, almost 7,000 years ago. Our guide was really knowledgeable.
And here you can see the different art of pipes what we used from the first one till this one what we use today. When you want you can touch them.
It was cool to hear the different stories about how salt mining in Halstatt has changed through the years and where they think the salt in those mines originally came from. They said that the salt was there was originally because it was under the sea, or like the seawater, and the seawater eventually leached away, just leaving the salt behind. In the salt mines, there was this one cave where the water was so still that you could see everything reflected in it. And I don't know why, but this place really reminded me, made me feel like I was in the Middle Earth, from like Lord of the Rings. One thing I realized in Halstatt is, I went in February and it was so cold. I was wearing shoes and everything, but my feet were still feeling cold. And in general, I realized that when it's so cold, in general, it's difficult to get anything done. It's even a miracle that people wake up every day and go about their work and just survive in general. It just made me feel a newfound respect for just, groups of people who stay with their former community and just survive. In India, at least where I grew up, most of the places, the weather was such that you could sleep outside at night. You could work and then you could go to play outside in the evening, and like you could just spend a lot of time outside the house. But I think in a place like Halstatt, you wouldn't have been able to do that. And I think in a place where you don't really have to fear the elements of nature, it can sometimes be easier to just say that you only care about yourself or be a little more selfish. But I think in a place where it's so cold that it's it can be difficult and you need a lot of energy to just survive, you can't abandon everyone. You have to get along with everyone. After that, we came back to Passau, and I think my last 2 days we just spent it around Passau. We roamed around places. And it's so cold everywhere that, I felt like I want to go pee a lot of times. And I think compared to Japan, if you want to use like the public washroom in Germany, you've got to pay like, I think, €1 or €1.50, 50 cents. And it makes sense. Someone's got to take care of the washroom, right? The upkeep of the washroom, and that costs money. And the people who use it pay for that. But I wish there was some other system where, I don't know, you didn't have to go through the hassle of paying every time you wanted to use one. I like the ones in Japan where, most of the public washrooms inside stations are free to use for anyone. But then again, it also makes me think of, how are most of the public washrooms in Japan being paid for. On one evening, I was also able to play table tennis in one of the clubs there. And that was also really fun. And on my last day there in the morning, we went for a walk near the hills nearby, where you can actually stand at the border between Austria and Germany. And this photo is taken there. I had some German bread for one last time because I knew I'd definitely miss it coming back. Yeah, and that was it. And then I came back to Osaka. I was kind of sad and tired on my way back, so I didn't really take many pictures. Overall, this trip was just perfect. Like, the weather and just the vibe of the city of Passau. It just feels young, vibrant. It feels like this place where I can stay for a couple of years and, really strive to become the best version of myself. The air that you get to breathe over there, it's really so much different than, India. And Osaka is a lot better than Pune or Mumbai. But I think Passau is, the air in Passau is probably just a step ahead. And I've always heard the phrase, that I could taste the air that was crisp, and I always wondered what that phrase meant, but I felt that while roaming through the greenery in Passau.
L'âme en peine, il vit mais par la peine. Il attend devant cette photo d'antan. Il n'est pas fou, il y croit c'est tout. Il la voit partout, il attend debout. Une rose à la main, à part elle il n'attend rien. Rien autour n'a de sens et l'air est lourd. Le regard absent, il est seul et lui parle. Souvent il n'est pas fou, il aime c'est tout. Il la voit partout, il attend debout, debout. Une rose à la main, non, non plus rien ne le retient. Dans sa love story, dans sa love story, dans sa love story, sa love story.
Finally, why make this video now? Well, Pooja and I broke up more than a year ago, and it was kind of difficult to make this video back then. But now that I do have the time to recollect, this trip will always remain close to me, because I remember this one evening where we were just walking through Passau and we were doing this silly soldier walk, and it almost feels as if someone were to time travel back to that moment, that place, they would still be able to feel the love that we shared. And sometimes I can remember the feeling exactly, but as time passes by, I realize I'm forgetting more of the details of this trip, and I just wanted to take some time and preserve as much as I do remember. And my wish is that for you watching this video, you are also able to maybe recollect a similar moment in your life. Because time will wither away all our memories one day, but hopefully not today.